Most significantly for me, he has an executive order on fracking, an executive order that brings fracking to a temporary halt, and he's also blocking new leases on oil and gas for a period of 60 days. Now, he said he would do it. We can't be all that surprised that he did it. He denies that he's banning fracking completely. But let's think about this. Fracking is actually one of the great innovations of the last decade or so, a couple of decades now. It's a new way to pull oil out of the ground that couldn't be gotten at before. It allows the United States to achieve something that was for a long time just a dream, energy independence. We don't rely anymore on the Middle East. We don't have to be drawn in to Middle Eastern catastrophes anymore. So all of this would seem to be a great boon, not to mention the jobs that are created with the Keystone Pipeline that Biden, again, just canceled. So this is a very disturbing set of developments just because it makes no fracking sense. Why would you want to do this? Why would you want to terminate a completely safe procedure? And if you say you're not terminating fracking in general, why terminate it now? Why terminate it at all? Well, the answer, of course, is that the Biden people are responding to the environmental movement, to climate change. And climate change is another ruse. By ruse, what I mean is that the climate is not changing. The climate all over the world is the same, pretty much, as it was when we were kids. There's some natural variability. Scientists who are paid large amounts of money to discover climate change go and take temperature readings in one section of the ocean, and if those don't cooperate, they go take them in another part of the ocean to find something that says, oh, the temperature has gone up 1 degree in the last 100 years. There you go, evidence of climate change. Now, it's important to realize that all these politicians who say, listen to the science, most of these people don't know any science. They're not listening to the science. They're incapable of understanding the science. Just show them a climate chart and ask them to make sense of it, and they'll look at you like you're from Mars. So they don't know if the Earth is getting hotter or colder, and quite frankly, they don't care. Their behavior shows that they don't care. The Obamas just purchased this massive property on Martha's Vineyard. These are the same Obamas who go on telling you, the oceans are rising, the cities are going to get swamped, coastal cities won't exist anymore. Well, if coastal areas are all getting swamped, why would you invest $12 million on oceanfront real estate? Why would the Bidens have a beach house right there in Rehoboth Beach on Delaware? The reason is they can look around, they can see property values are holding, and the fact that property values are holding tells you this. It's not just that the Obamas know it's nonsense. Buyers know it's nonsense. Sellers know it's nonsense. Real estate agents know it's nonsense. Everybody knows it's nonsense, and the market reflects that. But at the same time, when you put aside the common sense of the market, you get this political, bloviated rhetoric, which kind of offers you a reality that doesn't match anything in your experience. It's kind of like these fashion magazines who say things like, ever since the beautiful Michelle Obama stepped off the stage and the ugly Melania came in, and now we're back to the gorgeous Kamala Harris. It's sort of like, I mean, I know beauty's in the eye of the beholder, but really? Are we supposed not to believe our own lying eyes? Are we supposed to ignore our experience and go with Vogue magazine tells us about this? So here's the point I'm trying to make, and that is that this climate change operation is an effort for the government to establish greater control over the economy. And that's really what the left, that's really what the Democrats want. But as I think back on this, and Debbie and I live in the state of Texas, we make movies, and for our movies, we look for investors. And some of the guys we talk to are oil guys, people who deal with pipelines, they deal with fracking. And we say to them things like, hey guys, you know what? The Democrats basically want to destroy your industry. They want to take away, in effect, your livelihood. The reason we want you to invest in our movies is because we are trying to defend the infrastructure of free markets and capitalism and upward mobility Look at the fracking industry. You've got a bunch of guys, some of whom never finished high school or just high school grads who never went to college. And these are guys who normally would be working for $15,000, $20,000 a year, maybe a little more. But they can make $100,000 a year working in the fracking industry. And so they travel long distances and they live in small cabins and they work really hard. But they're really excited that here's an industry that makes money and gives them the prospect of a good life. All these people are now imperiled. And so we say to these oil guys, you know, you should try to support us. Why? Because you're sort of like the guy who goes out west in a covered wagon, you're setting up your homestead, and there are outlaws, in this case the left, and they want to destroy you. I mean, they want to tear down your fence and burn down your house and rape your wife, and you need to hire some gunslingers of your own who are going to keep these bad guys away. And the remarkable thing is there are so many people on our side, people who have the means, who have the resources, who say things like, well, you know, we're really upset because of Trump's tweets. I just wish that guy would stop tweeting. Or he just doesn't have the right demeanor, Dinesh, to be president. Or they say things to me like, well, Dinesh, you're making these movies, but, you know, it's kind of hard to get people to go to the theater to see a documentary. What's the profit expectation in a movie like yours? And I go, listen, I'm going to work really hard to make your money back in the market, but I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it to get the message out, and you should too. You have far more to gain than I do in fighting this battle. Why? Because I will thrive in a Biden administration. I'm a public critic. I can do a podcast like this one. I'll have a job. I'll have plenty to do. I'll have, in fact, more material to do it with. I'll have more butts to kick. You won't. They're going to go after your business. They're going to go after your livelihood. And what I find remarkable is how conservatives and Republicans who have a direct interest in protecting the system and protecting free markets are so, in a sense, blind to what the other side wants to do to them. Entrepreneurs are very good at what they do. They tend to hone into a problem. They tend to focus laser-like on the problem. But what they don't pay attention to is the broader system of free markets, what Adam Smith called the system of natural liberty, that enables their business to succeed. So they invest in the business, but they don't invest in the cultural and political infrastructure that is necessary to sustain their business. And what Biden is showing is that, hey guys, I'm going to kick down the infrastructure. Let's see what kind of sandcastle you build when I basically produce a strong wind that can knock down not just your sandcastle, but all the sandcastles on the beach.